Good. How you doing, Alex?
Good, thanks, mate. I think last time we spoke, I think Bitcoin was maybe 7,000, 8,000, so we're about 20% higher, and we are just watching those stair steps up, mainly on the 4 hour chart, and we've certainly been a little bit cautious because we've run so hard, and there's certainly getting a little bit of euphoria now, and now everyone's eyeing off 10,000. So, what are you seeing on the charts, man?
The charts are still all bullish. Whenever we hit a period where we see these kind of 20, 40% gains in a few days, I definitely err on the side of caution and get ready for a pullback. But at this point, the 4 hour time frame, which is depicting it the best in my opinion, is still clear higher lows and it's still very healthy. Once we get that first lower high and lower low on the 4 hour time frame, I'll be a lot more comfortable saying that the temporary top is in and it's time to pull back in a healthy way on the daily chart.
Yeah, so I've just got that pulled up now for our viewers, mate. And I think, from 2 days ago when we were trading around 8,200, it's just been nothing but green candles with maybe one or two red candles on the way. So is that 8,200 level that you're still looking at reasonably happy as long as we set a higher low above that? You're still happy?
Well, right now I'm looking at on the most recent consolidation we've seen today, that low of 94.38. I'm looking on Coinbase, but it's roughly in that area on other exchanges. If we set a lower high and are unable to hit a new all-time high this afternoon and this evening, depending where you are, of course, if we pull back and break that low without a new all-time high, that will be our first lower high, lower low. We'll get a bearish MACD cross along with it. The RSI will be back below 70. That will be the start of the daily consolidation.
Okay, cool, cool. So I guess from a fundamental point of view, guys, there's a number of things that I'm looking at. So Coinbase has just been unbelievable with the number of accounts they're adding, and obviously people who are buying their first crypto might be just buying $20 worth, $100 worth, and they're not looking at the charts. So if there's 100,000 people a day joining Coinbase and they're buying some Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, that's certainly cushioning the price. And I think that's one of the reasons we're just seeing this steady climb. And there's all this talk of institutional money as well. But I guess one of the things we're wary of is the whole Bitcoin Cash, and can there be a bit of FUD? When everyone's eyeing off one level, Dan, what sort of things do you see play out when everybody is watching that 10,000 level and expecting a pullback and an easy level to buy back in? And it often doesn't play out that way, does it?
No, but it can very easily, and we do see self-fulfilling prophecies time and time again where I believe it was Goldman Sachs put out their prediction for what it was going to hit, and I forget where it was. It was right around 5,000, I believe, and that is where we pulled back, and that's because everybody was expecting that nice round psychological number, and so everybody, their sights are set on 10,000, and a lot of people are going to take profit under 10,000, and even if we break 10,000 from where we stand right now, I wouldn't expect a huge surge like a euphoric, we broke 10,000, everybody buy in, because we've already used so much buying power in the last few days. I would still look for a temporary top around this area. But again, until we see the higher lows break on the 4 hour time frame, there's no reason for longer term holders or swing traders to stray from their game plan of sticking with the bulls.
So Ethereum and Litecoin have also been playing catch up, and I know this is where it's different being a hodler versus a trader. And have you noticed the baton being passed at different times of day, or traders jumping in and out of one once one's had a move?
There's definitely some of that going on, but in terms of trying to find the correlation as to which one to get in, it is a bit tricky. There are times where I'll be looking at all three on shorter term time frames and I'll say, okay, Ethereum's a little bit stronger right now. And especially in comparison of Ethereum and Litecoin, those two are much easier to compare to each other. And we've seen in the past few days, because Ethereum's at all-time highs and Litecoin is not, that there has been a slight edge in favor of Ethereum. But I have also used that as a bit of a laggard scenario, where if I see, the other day I was getting food or something and I missed an Ethereum bull break on the 15-minute time frame, and I got back to my computer, I saw it, I looked, I saw the same setup on Litecoin that hadn't broken yet, and I got in on that Litecoin move and was able to profit as a bit of a laggard play. So that relationship is still there. In the past 4 days, it's been pretty consistent. Ethereum one step ahead of Litecoin, slightly more bullish, but both of them in tandem.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've noticed a little bit as well is that Bitcoin tends to have its price run ups and a lot more volume on US time, which I'm keeping a close eye on to see if that's anything to do with the institutional flow of money from the US. Whereas obviously crypto is red hot in Korea, and that's on a similar time to Australia here, and that's certainly when we see Ethereum, Litecoin, and some other popular altcoins in Korea get pumped and get that volume. So something that I'll be keeping an eye on as well. So just finally, you've had an amazing year, Dan, but we'll talk about holding versus trading a little bit. So Ethereum, I was really bullish on the fundamentals, and it just stayed around $300 for so long. It finally had that breakout, and we're up about 50%. And you were sort of saying that maybe you might not have got 50%, but I just want viewers to know that there's money to be made doing both holding and trading. And certainly at the moment, these markets have been very rewarding for holders, but I think in the future, obviously it's harder and harder. Every time the market cap grows for Bitcoin or Ethereum, we're not going to get 50% move. So I'd encourage people to learn trading, but do you want to talk about the returns, maybe trading versus holding, that you've noticed lately?
For sure. First thing I want to say is that if you are learning how to trade, your best bet is to hold and then practice and educate yourself and do it that way, rather than saying, here's my capital, I'm a trader now and I'm learning how to trade. That's not the way to do it. That's putting the cart before the horse. You have to learn how to trade for at least months, at least a couple months, before you're risking real capital trying to do this. Again, you have to put the perspective, if it were this easy that you could just start doing it, everybody would be doing it successfully. It's not that easy. So when I say, you know, these are my gains trading or whatever, you have to take with a grain of salt that I had 7 years of preparation before this moment in time where it was just a setup preparing me for this. So if you are learning how to trade, you want to be holding because the market is benefiting holders, and you then learn how to trade in the process. That being said, as you pointed out, Ethereum's bull move this past week, I'm pulling up the chart right now. So we've been in an extremely strong move, probably a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Ever since we broke 350 was the technical signal for me that the weekly chart had broke that equilibrium pattern I had been watching for a few months. But my trading in the past 2 weeks would not be comparable to the gains in Ethereum had I just bought at 350 and held. Now, there's a couple factors behind that in terms of why I didn't do it. Number one, I trade with my whole position, and for me to go all in Ethereum and then just, you know, hope it goes up, that's something I'm not comfortable doing. But the holders right now of this Ethereum break are ahead of me in terms of gains in the last 2 weeks. But I fully expect to take a step ahead of the holders once we do see that consolidation, and I'm in all cash and avoiding any of that pullback and then just ready to buy the dip when it comes.
Your favorite play is still the oversold bounce. That's correct?
I love it. It's those days. I have 3 days in mind. And that day when Ethereum dropped down to 136, I don't even have to look at the chart. I have the number in my head. But yeah, those days were like the most money I've ever made trading anything in one day in my life. And it's just being comfortable, and the amount of speed at which those gains happen, it's just maximum emotions, maximum fear, and that's where the traders capitalize.
Yeah, mate, I'm sure you're going to catch up to us. And I think that's an important point you said. So 7 years, obviously in my trading group, we trade on fundamentals, and we've had an unbelievable run this year as well. I think we've only had one losing trade in the past 4 months. But yeah, I made plenty of mistakes in the first 5 years when I was trading crypto. So people don't expect it to be easy. I'd certainly encourage people to do, the Chart Guys course and that sort of thing. Dip your toe in the water with small amounts, because it only takes one wild correction, and certainly I'd say now is a more risky time to be entering the market when we've just had these huge runs. I'm telling people maybe buy some now and some if we get a correction, because you never know what's around the corner. So any price predictions, mate, for the next week? Do you want to call it top, or are you just going to take it as it comes?
I'm not ready to top yet, but I am ready to act on the pullback. The best thing about these bull markets is that the first dip into RSI oversold conditions are really, they're really easy trade signals to act on. We remember it back in when we were running up back in May and June. Anytime the 5-minute RSI hit oversold, you buy. That was just an automatic signal. And now that we're back in that bull mode, today, the 15-minute time frame getting oversold, I could see it coming a mile away and said, when the 5 and 15-minute time frame are oversold, we're much more comfortable, look for a bounce. And all three of the big three had a very solid bounce today from those levels. So in terms of price points, I mean, we're all three are at this psychological crossroads where Bitcoin's at 10,000, Ethereum's pushing 500, and Litecoin's pushing 100. So that's a very psychological, clear barrier. And like I said, because we've run so significantly, even if we do break that, I don't think we're going to see a huge follow through. I do think healthy daily consolidation is not far away, but until it comes, I'm going to keep playing bullish as long as those 4-hour higher lows stand.
Yeah, there's been a lot of emotional capital spent, so we need to reset that euphoria and hype cycle, I guess. And I agree. And whether or not we just go sideways, I just don't think that we have a meaningful correction unless we get something big fundamental event or some scare or some FUD. I just think there's too many people that are waiting for a dip to buy and institutional money waiting to buy. So I don't think we get a 50% sustained bear market or anything like that. So thanks for joining us again today, Dan. Happy trading, and I'll talk to you again soon, mate. Cheers.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Alex.
Cheers, mate. Bye.